Hello, my name is Apoorv Verma, Section F, roll number 2501410, and my topic for today is inflation and food price volatility in India. Imagine you go to buy tomatoes in July. Last month they cost rupees 20 a kilo. Today they are rupees 200. That's not a story that happened in India in 2023. And it's not just tomatoes, onions, pulses, edible oils. The price of the foods that sit on every Indian plate have become dangerously unpredictable. Today, I want to talk about why that happens, why the government has done, what the government has done about it, and why, despite decades of effort, food price volatility remains one of India's most stubborn economic problems. India's retail inflation, measured by the Consumer Price Index, is heavily weighted towards food. Food and beverages alone account for nearly 46% of the CPI basket. This means when food prices spike, inflation spikes, hitting the poor hardest since lower income households spend a far greater of their share of their income on food than the wealthier ones. Between 2014 and 2024, India saw multiple episodes of CPI food inflation crossing 8 to 10%, driven by vegetables, pulses, and cereals. The RBI mandated to keep headline inflation between 2 and 6%, found itself unable to act effectively using interest rate tools alone because this was supply side inflation not driven by excess money in the economy but by crop failures, hoarding, and broken supply chains. Coming to the root causes, so what causes this volatility? Three structural reasons. First, agriculture's dependency on monsoons. Over 50% of India's cultivated land is rain-fed. A delayed or deficient monsoon like in 2023 directly hits kharif crop output. El Nino years are particularly brutal. Climate change has made monsoon patterns increasingly erratic, making the structural risk worse over time. Second, market fragmentation and poor cold chain infrastructure. India loses an estimated 16% of its fruits and vegetables post-harvest, around 90,000 crore worth of produce due to inadequate storage and logistics. APMC mandis designed to protect farmers often add multiple layers of intermediaries between the farm gate and the consumer, inflating prices without adding value. Third, policy uncertainty and hoarding. When food prices rise, the government's knee-jerk response has historically been to ban export, as with wheat in 2022 and rice in 2023. While this can suppress domestic prices in the short run, it destroys farmer confidence, discourages investment, and creates cycle of underproduction in subsequent seasons. The historical policy response. India's policy toolkit has three main instruments and each has limitations. The minimum support price MSP system was introduced post-Green Revolution to protect farmers from price crashes, but effective MSP procurement exists mainly for wheat and rice, leaving pulses, oilseeds, and vegetables exposed. The system also incentivizes overproduction of water-intensive cereals in water-scarce states like Punjab. The public distribution system (PDS) buffers poor consumer through subsidized grain. PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana expanded free food grain to 81 crore beneficiaries during COVID. But the PDS doesn't cover vegetable or pulses, the very foods where price spikes are sharpest. Finally, trade policy interventions. Import duty cuts on edible oils, exports bans on rice, and are reactive and often too late. They address symptoms, not causes. To the solutions and the roadmap. What should India actually do? The three horizon approach. Short term, for the 1 to 2 years. Build real-time price monitoring dashboards, integrating mandi data and satellite crop assessments. Use this to trigger immediate, timely, targeted interventions rather than blanket export bans. Expand PM Annadata Suraksha Abhiyan to ensure MSP procurement for pulses and oilseeds is actually operationalized on the ground. Medium, for 3 to 5 years. Invest aggressively in cold chain infrastructure under PM Sampada Yojana. India needs a minimum doubling of its cold storage capacity, simultaneously reform APMC laws through a consultative process that genuinely brings farmer unions on board. The 2020 farm laws tried and failed politically. That failure doesn't make reforms less necessary. Long term, 5 to 10 years, reorient the MSP system from output to support, and this delinks agriculture incentives from distortions in cropping patterns combined with climate resilience, seed technology, and expanding irrigation. To the closing, food price volatility is just an economic statistic for 800 million Indians who depend on subsidized food. It is a question of dignity and nutrition security. For the farmer, it is a difference between the debt and viability. For the RBI and the government, it is a policy problem that sits uncomfortably between the monetary tools and fiscal tools, belonging fully to neither. The solution will require better data, better infrastructure, and most importantly, the political will to move beyond reactive bans to a structural reform. India has the institution. The question is whether it has the patience. Thank you.